Hello everyone. Welcome to my bold and the beautiful news channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Before we dive into today's content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and show some love by giving this video a thumbs up. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Friday, October 4-5 uncover that Taylor Hayes will justifiably struggle with trusting her new determination. Dr. Effortlessness Buckingham guaranteed Taylor that her experimental outcomes were obviously better than she anticipated. Dr. Buckingham doesn't completely accept that Taylor has cardiovascular breakdown like her PCP in Europe at first thought. All things being equal, it appears Taylor is experiencing broken heart condition, which Taylor questioned was even a genuine article. Nonetheless, Dr. Buckingham will remain by her doubts and keep up with that to be sure a condition influences many individuals. Taylor generally thought she was sufficiently able to deal with all her tragedy, yet it appears to be it's taken to a greater degree of cost rather than she expected. Obviously, things will be a wide range of off-kilter for Edge Forrester since he's hearing exactly the same thing as Taylor at this moment. The fresh insight about Taylor's wrecked heart disorder will leave Edge feeling regretful for being the person who broke it in any case. While Edge and Taylor process Dr. Buckingham's updates, B&B spoilers say Brooke Logan will have a great deal to understand too. Charles Spencer recently conceded that his get-together with Katie Logan isn't going on, and Brooke is a major piece of the motivation behind why. Since Katie has been singed too often because of Bill's fascination and association with her sister, she can't gamble more agony. Katie feels like Bill just needs her back since Brooke isn't accessible, so Brooke will be sorry to learn that. Despite the fact that Brooke might propose to converse with Katie and persuade her that anything that she imparted to Bill is behind them, he may not figure it'll be super beneficial. Bill will be gloomy over Katie's dismissal, however. Is there an opportunity? There's a reality to Katie's cases. Does Bill have any waiting affections for Brooke that could ascend to the surface in the months to come? The bold and the beautiful spoilers say Brooke will comfort Bill as they ponder the past, so stay with us for additional expectations on whether their set of experiences will impact their possible future. The bold and the beautiful spoilers recap for Wednesday, October 2, uncovers that Edge Forrester at long last persuaded Taylor Hayes to see a trained professional. He was particularly eager to hear the fabulous Dr. Beauty Buckingham was at the highest point of Lee Finnegan's cardiologist list. At Forrester Manifestations, Brooke Logan considered the amount she missed her own mom and was happy Steffy Forrester currently gotten an opportunity to get the ball really rolling with Taylor. In the plan office, Will Spencer had doubts about whether style was his thing. However, he had a connection with an appealing model named Willow that persuaded him to check Forrester out. While Katie Logan was pitching Steffy on the chance of Will interning at Forrester, Will ran into one more dazzling model named Kingsley and played with her as well. There was likewise the exceptionally charming Lainey, who had been working at Forrester half a month and was confident about Will working there too. As Will visited with this multitude of exquisite young ladies, obviously he was loving working at Forrester to an ever-increasing extent. Back with Katie, she took in an assistant spot had to be sure opened up now that Luna Nozawa was gone. Katie was satisfied when Steffy consented to meet with Will, yet she wanted to caution her that Will wasn't certain about going into style. Nonetheless, Will eventually let Steffy know that regardless of his underlying reservations, his sentiments had changed. The additional time Will spent there, the more he understood Forrester was precisely where he needed to be. Katie talked with Will secretly subsequently and understood every one of the delights of Forrester impacted his choice. However, she didn't appear to mind. Done with Steffy once more, she thought about how Bill Spencer would respond to Will working at Forrester Manifestations. Brooke additionally acknowledged she didn't have any idea where Edge was, so Steffy said perhaps he was with Taylor. In Dr. Buckingham's office on Wednesday's B&B episode, she was eager to assist Taylor and Edge since they were Paris Buckingham's future parents-in-law. As this sounded earnest, Dr. Buckingham asked what was off base. Taylor admitted that she'd been determined to have cardiovascular breakdown, yet Dr. Buckingham was worried about the absence of follow-up tests up to this point. Since they had to know precisely exact thing they were managing, Dr. Buckingham proposed a heart compound test to begin. That was a test to decide whether Taylor was having or had at any point experienced a coronary episode. All Dr. Buckingham required was a straightforward vial of blood to evaluate Taylor's markers and see the degree of the harm on the off chance that there was for sure coronary failure proof. Dr. Buckingham said there were more tests they could do from that point onward, yet this was the one she prescribed in the first place. Taylor stayed critical pretty much this, yet she consented to let Dr. Buckingham get this show on the road with the heart chemical test. When Dr. Buckingham got out of the room, Edge guaranteed Taylor that she was a contender who was solid and valiant. As Edge got started crying, he demanded Taylor was in good company any longer and embraced her since they were in the same boat. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say Dr. Buckingham will pass along a few astounding outcomes soon, so stay with us for additional expectations on Taylor's future and reports on the news that is standing by. The bold and the beautiful spoilers recap for Wednesday, October 2, reveals that Ridge Forrester finally convinced Taylor Hayes to see a specialist. He was especially excited to hear the fantastic Dr. Brace Buckingham was at the top of Lee Finnegan's cardiologist list. At Forrester Creations, Brooke Logan reflected on how much she missed her own mother and was glad Steffy Forrester now had a chance to make up for lost time with Taylor. In the design office, Will Spencer remained skeptical about whether fashion was his thing, but he had an interaction with an attractive model named Willow that convinced him to give Forrester a try. While Katie Logan was pitching Steffy on the possibility of Will interning at Forrester, Will crossed paths with another gorgeous model named Kingsley and flirted with her too. There was also the very cute Lainey, who had been working at Forrester a few weeks and was hopeful about Will working there as well. As Will chatted with all these lovely young women, it became clear that he was liking the idea of working at Forrester more and more. Back with Katie, she learned an intern spot had indeed opened up now that Luna Nozawa was gone. Katie was pleased when Steffy agreed to meet with Will, but she felt the need to warn her that Will wasn't sure about going into fashion. However, Will ultimately told Steffy that despite his initial reservations, his feelings had changed. The more time Will spent there, the more he realized Forrester was exactly where he wanted to be. Katie spoke with Will privately afterward and realized all the beauties of Forrester affected his decision, but she didn't seem to mind. Over with Steffy again, she wondered how Bill Spencer would react to Will working at Forrester Creations. Brooke also realized she didn't know where Ridge was, so Steffy said maybe he was with Taylor. In Dr. Buckingham's office on Wednesday's B&B episode, she was happy to help Taylor and Ridge since they were Paris Buckingham's future in-laws. As this sounded urgent, Dr. Buckingham asked what was wrong. Taylor confessed that she'd been diagnosed with heart failure, but Dr. Buckingham was concerned about the lack of follow-up tests so far. Since they needed to know exactly what they were dealing with, Dr. Buckingham suggested a cardiac enzyme test to start. That was a test to determine if Taylor was having or had ever suffered a heart attack. All Dr. Buckingham needed was a simple vial of blood to assess Taylor's markers and see the extent of the damage if there was indeed heart attack evidence. Dr. Buckingham said there were more tests they could do after that, but this was the one she recommended to begin with. Taylor remained pessimistic about all this, but she agreed to let Dr. Buckingham get the ball rolling on the cardiac enzyme test. Once Dr. Buckingham stepped out of the room, Ridge assured Taylor that she was a fighter who was strong and courageous. As Ridge got choked up, he insisted Taylor wasn't alone anymore and hugged her since they were in this together. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say Dr. Buckingham will pass along some surprising results soon, so stick with us for more predictions on Taylor's future and updates on the news that awaits. All Dr. Buckingham required was a straightforward vial of blood to evaluate Taylor's markers and see the degree of the harm on the off chance that there was for sure coronary failure proof. Dr. Buckingham said there were more tests they could do from that point onward, yet this was the one she prescribed in the first place. Taylor stayed critical pretty much this, yet she consented to let Dr. Buckingham get this show on the road with the heart chemical test. When Dr. Buckingham got out of the room, Edge guaranteed Taylor that she was a contender who was solid and valiant. As Edge got started crying, he demanded Taylor was in good company any longer and embraced her since they were in the same boat. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say Dr. Buckingham will pass along a few astounding outcomes soon, so stay with us for additional expectations on Taylor's future and reports on the news that is standing by. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more updates.